usually teach classes, and I haven't been able to for the past month or so, and I miss doing it, so I'm going to do this video like I normally would a class. So I have all my paints mixed up already. For paints, I just use my acrylic paint and then Floetrol. That's the only thing I mix into it. And I don't measure, it depends on the brand of paint how much you use, but I usually mix it until it gets to about this consistency. I don't know if you can see that. There, where it runs in a steady stream off the stirring stick. And then in classes, I usually teach 4 techniques on tiles. I do the flip cup, dirty pour, tree ring pour, and then a ribbon pour. And then after class, I usually bring fun little wood shapes and we dip into the puddles. So I'll also do some dips here. So let me get my cups. Each tile takes exactly an ounce of paint mixture to cover it, but you want to use a little more than an ounce when you're layering, because it obviously you want to be able to move it around without stretching it out. So this first one, do a flip cup. The colors I'm using are white, and then a turquoise-like color, some yellow green, Prussian blue. Usually I like to use Prussian blue or Payne's gray instead of black. Just doesn't dry quite as dark. Plays nicer with the colors. And then I have like a magenta color here. So for flip cup, just take your surface, take your cup, put it on top, and flip it over. Let it sit for a couple of seconds, and pull up. Oh, where's my torch? That would have been a good thing to get ahead of time. Hang on. Run a torch lightly over it to pop any air bubbles that are, woo! The torch kind of has a mind of its own lately, so probably need a different one, but I'll use this one for now. Oh, I'm gonna open that up just a little bit more in there. I like to meet the paint at the corner, so I'm not always dumping it over. And I think I want to get this pink first here. So, like, completely lost all the pink there. Not my favorite technique, but they do turn out pretty cool too, regardless. So, next cup, I'm doing white again, turquoise, yellow green, Prussian blue. I like to pour against the side of the cup so they're not dropping right into each other. It keeps the colors a little more separated. And then the magenta. So for this one, just going to do a dirty pour here. Just give it a little wiggle when I do these. I like what it does with the paint. Sorry about the silences in the video here too. Nothing makes me quite so nervous as recording myself talking. Classes in person, not a big deal, but this is the first time that I've ever put a video out where I'm talking during it. Alright, next one. Do ribbon on this one. I need to change gloves here. So this one will be a ribbon. For this one, I'm going to start by, wipe this tile off quick. Covering it in white. I don't always do this, but sometimes I like to. If I don't cover it and do a ribbon, then a lot of times I end up having to go back and fill in spots with my leftover paints, which takes longer obviously than this, so for the sake of time. Same color layer. And for ribbon, just go, you want to make sure that you start off the side of the tile. And then when you come over, you're going off the side over here. Every time you're going off, don't just do it back and forth on top, otherwise you're going to have to move it around to get it to not look like it's all just on the tile there, like. And then you want to go up and down the length of it. You don't want to just work your way down making ribbons, because then you won't see all the colors throughout the whole tile. That's one of my favorite ways to pour. I love ribbon pours. And then tree rings, I love those too. That's actually why I named my business Tree Ring Art, because that's my favorite technique. always tell everyone this is the trickiest one out of the 4. For this one, you're doing a couple things at the same time. You want to make sure that you're slowly moving your wrist in a downward motion. At the same time, you're making small circles with it. I always want to stay close to the tile too when I do it. Otherwise, I find that I don't get rings. They get a little bit wobbly if they have a far way to travel down. And then when you feel like you're done, you want to slowly start to tilt your wrist back. Don't stop making circles until the line of paint breaks between the cup and the tile. Otherwise you risk dripping in your rings. You know, another thing you can do if you don't really want to have to tilt off the corners, so there's a lot of pink over here, so I could use my pink paint. Just go like that. Or my magenta, I mean. Over here, let's do that over here too. I'll move my middle ring to the middle again. Then after, take our leftover paint here, if we have any, and pour it out. Or we just use our paint puddle. Today I made extra so I could pour it out. Dipping is fun. You can make different kinds of dips depending on how you throw your paint down. Sometimes my favorite way to do it though is to just randomly put it on there and see what happens. So no rhyme or reason as to why I'm doing it this way this time. You just want to make sure that your puddle is enough to cover whatever it is you're going to dip. And for this I have another set of 4 tiles, so I'm making sure that there's enough for 4 tiles here. Fill in all the spaces that don't have paint on them yet. Just gentle pressure against it. You don't want to push and have it slide because then it muddies your paint underneath. And then when you pick up, you're going to go like that. Get a bubble right there. If you want, once you pick it up, you can also hold it like this with the back on your hands and push into the paint with the sides of it to make sure your sides are covered. Otherwise, sometimes with dips, you end up with uncovered sides if you're not having a bunch of paint underneath. Not any yellow-green really on that one. Pretty though. That's a nice one. Oh, I like that one too. And then this, I'll let dry. I might mess with this a little bit more in between here and dip a couple more little wood pieces in there to make magnets out of. But otherwise, I'll just let this dry and then I use it for necklaces. So, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know.